Hey there, boys and ghouls, it's the Crypt Keeper. No, actually, it's Slippery Slope, and this is Java tutorial number 19. Last time I showed you nested if statements, and as you can imagine, they might get a little bit messy. And this time around, we're going to do if-else-ifs, and that might sound a little redundant, but what it actually does is it makes things one heck of a lot neater, and, well, there are two reasons why you want to do it. One is you want to avoid having a bunch of complicated, convoluted if statements running all over your screen, and every time you make a new if, you have to indent an extra time, and that just, after a while it starts running off to the other side of your screen, and, it starts in the US and comes out in China, or starts in China and comes out in the US, and it's just like, whoa. You ever hear that old myth about if you dig into the earth and you come out on the other side of the planet if you just keep digging? Yeah, well, that has nothing to do with this. Moving on, what we need to do is we need to create some variables, because that's what we do pretty much every single time we make one of these videos. And I am, without even thinking about this stuff, I'm going to make sausages, because sausages is perhaps my favorite food, and I know I open myself to a long line of jokes by saying that, but what you going to do? I especially like long, hot Italian sausage, and yeah, so we're going to have sausages. And we're going to keep my current color scheme because apparently I like to keep Skype and Steam and other things open all at once, which takes up my computer's memory, but that's another story for another day. And we're going to have our first if statement. If sausages equals 4, system.out, .println, you are a sausage fiend. Okay, well then we could add an else blah 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 blah. Instead, we're going to have else if sausages equals 3, system.out.println. Whoa, partner, might want to eat less sausages. Because they do put weight on you, I do concede. And we'll have for sausages equals 2, system dot out dot. Let's start using print for now on. You know the difference, right? The print, it just puts stuffs on your screen, and when you have print line, it's like, okay, I'll type up this stuff, but then we're going to have a new line next line. System.out.print, that's a groovy amount of sausages. And we want to have our semicolon at the end of that, because if we don't, then it just kind of, well, we actually get an official error that says system error insert semicolon to complete statement, so Eclipse reminds you that's what you want to do. So if you don't, you can just figure out what's wrong that way, but we'd rather have fewer errors because it saves time and it keeps our boss from going, where the heck is that Project Johnson? I'm going to have to find a new Johnson, like Johnson and Johnson. If you don't, do your Project Johnson. System.out.print, you can have another sausage. And it's not sausage, though that sounds like a really cool way of saying it, but you can have another sausage. Okay, well, once we have our proper end parenthesis there, we could run this, and remember sausages equals 4, that's how we initialized it. You are a sausage fiend. Okay, so we had this if, and then we had else if sausages equals 3, this prints out, else if this, else if this. Really efficient, really easy. I didn't have to do indents every single time. I mean, I could have indented this one time, but I don't really see a need for it unless, again, your boss or your teacher goes, indent those else ifs or else you will die. And one other thing. You can have this last else in here, and it's called a trailing else, and it's trailing because it's right there at the end. And what it's often used for is if someone enters invalid data, like instead of like a number, like let's say we asked enter an amount of sausages between 1 and 4, and they put in 0, like say they're a vegetarian. Nothing wrong with that, but we're looking for sausage eaters here. Or let's say they entered B. How many sausages did you eat? B. Oh yeah, you're funny, you're hilarious. Ha 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 ha. Class clown. put no, try again, not quite what we asked for, semicolon. Okay, well let's change integer sausages. Now let's make it 75, which, I mean, it's humanly possible over the course of, say, several days. That's still kind of icky, but, like, whatever. Let's run this. No, try again. Not quite what we asked for. And one last thing I want to show you guys, and I'm going to elaborate on this in future videos, I'm sure, is this system.exit 0. Right now, this isn't mandatory, but it's a way of exiting out of your program and essentially telling your machine, your computer, we made it out properly, everything's okay, move on. You can put in other numbers, but 0 is the typical, traditional way of doing it, and more on that in future videos. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, and I'm going to work to get a better microphone. Slippery Slope signing out. Peace.